looks confident.
Hey fighters, you're watching WrestleWire 24/7, your go-to for everything WWE. Subscribe, tap the bell, and let's dive deep. The wrestling world was turned upside down the moment the storyline surrounding Seth Rollins exploded across WWE programming, sending shockwaves through the entire fan base and leaving everyone scrambling to process what had just unfolded. In a single night, what was supposed to be another adrenaline-fueled episode transformed into one of the most emotionally charged stories the company had produced in years, pulling fans deep into the narrative and making them feel the weight of every decision, every moment, and every consequence, as if it were unfolding right in front of them in real time. A dramatic twist no one saw coming. The heart of the storyline came during a match that started off routine but quickly spiraled into chaos after a high-risk maneuver went wrong, not as a result of anyone's fault, but intentionally scripted to amplify tension and highlight the unpredictable nature of the sport. The move ended with Seth Rollins collapsing in the ring in a way that silenced the crowd instantly, turning the energy in the arena from roaring excitement to stunned disbelief as referees and officials rushed in, blurring the line between fiction and reality in the most gripping way possible. The concerns Seth raised backstage. Earlier in the night, backstage segments were scripted to show Seth expressing concerns about the match layout, giving viewers a powerful glimpse into the emotional and psychological stakes behind the scenes. He spoke passionately about the risks involved, questioning whether the match structure was pushing too far, not because of carelessness, but because the tension between character motivations and personal well-being was becoming impossible to ignore. These scenes added depth to the unfolding drama and allowed fans to understand Seth's mindset long before the fateful moment inside the ring. The moment the arena stood still. When the injury angle played out, the reaction was immediate and overwhelming. Fans gasped, the commentary team dropped into a somber tone, and even the performers in the match broke character to emphasize the seriousness of the moment. The camera work focused on subtle details. The trembling of Seth's hand, the frantic signals of the referee, the worried expressions of the ringside staff, crafting a cinematic experience that pulled the audience completely into the emotional core of the story. It was a masterclass in drama, executed with precision and intensity. Becky Lynch's heartbreaking sprint to the ring. The moment Becky Lynch burst through the curtain became the emotional centerpiece of the entire storyline, as she ignored instructions, shoved aside security, and slid into the ring with panic written all over her face. Her voice cracked as she called Seth's name, adding a level of raw authenticity that left fans with chills. This was the moment that elevated the story from a simple in-ring incident to a deeply personal and unforgettable emotional arc, one that showcased Becky's vulnerability and fierce loyalty. The backstage fallout. Following the in-ring chaos, backstage segments showed Triple H and Stephanie McMahon rushing to manage the situation, not as corporate villains, but as characters caught in the pressure cooker of a crisis spiraling far beyond their control. Tension filled the air as officials coordinated medical evaluations and talent scrambled for updates, all while the camera captured every whispered conversation and every anxious glance. These scenes added layers to the story, showing the overwhelming weight of leadership when things go wrong. Triple H struggling with the aftermath. In a powerful scene later that night, Triple H was shown sitting in his office, head in his hands, replaying the moment on a monitor as guilt and responsibility washed over him. As a leader, mentor, and longtime friend of Seth, the storyline painted him as a man torn between his role as the driving force behind WWE's creative direction and his deep personal connection to the performers who trust him. It was a compelling portrayal of the burden carried by those at the top when tragedy, scripted or otherwise, strikes. Stephanie McMahon, facing the weight of the moment. Stephanie's character was also given emotional depth through segments that showed her balancing corporate responsibility with genuine concern for Becky, a performer she had known for years. She approached Becky with a tenderness that highlighted their shared history, offering support even as Becky struggled to process the overwhelming situation. These moments underscored the emotional complexity of leadership within WWE's fictional universe, reinforcing the idea that even authority figures can feel lost when confronted with circumstances far beyond their control. Becky's emotional spiral. Over the next few nights, Becky's character took center stage as she delivered some of the most gripping promos of her career, filled with heartbreak, confusion, and righteous fury. Her voice shook as she questioned whether the risks wrestlers take are truly worth it, and confessed how terrified she was of losing the person she loved most. These segments showcased her range not only as a performer, but as a storyteller capable of carrying an emotionally heavy narrative without ever losing authenticity. The locker room comes together. One of the most memorable scenes of the storyline featured the entire locker room gathering in solidarity, sharing their concern for Seth, and offering support to Becky. Roman Reigns, emotional and visibly shaken, delivered a tribute that felt deeply personal, speaking about Seth's loyalty, drive, and compassion. Dean Ambrose made a surprise appearance, embracing Becky and Roman in a moment that sent fans into emotional overload, reminding everyone of the unbreakable brotherhood forged through years of shared battles. A call for change within the story. The storyline escalated when Triple H and Stephanie announced new safety initiatives on screen, framed as steps being taken in response to what happened to Seth. It wasn't about blaming anyone, instead the focus was on responsibility, evolution, and learning from the past. This creative decision added realism and grounded the narrative, showing that even within the fictional world of WWE, growth can rise from tragedy. Becky, choosing her next step. In an emotionally packed promo, Becky contemplated whether she could continue wrestling while carrying the weight of what happened. Her words hit hard as she admitted she felt torn between honoring Seth's legacy and protecting her own heart from further pain. The monologue left the entire arena silent, as fans understood the magnitude of the decision she was facing and the internal war raging inside her. Seth's legacy in the storyline. Though Seth's character was sidelined, the storyline shifted towards celebrating his legacy, showing flashbacks of his greatest moments, rivalries, title wins, and bonds with other wrestlers. It was a beautifully crafted tribute to his contributions to the company's fictional universe, reminding fans why he was one of the most beloved performers of his generation and why his story mattered so much. A community united. As the plot thickened, fan reactions became part of the narrative, with social media tributes, signs in the audience, and emotional interviews from fellow performers. The WWE Universe was woven into the story itself, creating a sense of real community healing and showing how deeply this fictional tragedy resonated with everyone who loved Seth as a character